Welcome to the Best Damn Coach podcast. You guys, I'm super stoked about today. Literally woke up this morning journaling more questions that I wanted to ask Miranda today because we are tackling all things LinkedIn. And I know many of you listening, I don't want to project onto you, but here's the thing I'm going to say about my LinkedIn. I'm a novice. I'm like 101, dummy LinkedIn expert here. There's no expert status at all. I get on there and I feel like I am a 70-year-old trying to navigate social media. It's like such a foreign platform. And so, um, Miranda is going to take over with us today and really share. We met at a speaking event really, and really her energy was felt super aligned. And I didn't tell you this, but I had been looking for a LinkedIn person to come on the show, and then you fell into my world. So welcome to the show, Miranda von Fricken. I am so excited you're here.
Thank you so much, Amanda. It's awesome to be here.
Yeah. Well, I always love our guests just to share their own story because it's way better coming from you. So, can you just give us a little kind of history of how you ended up? Because you've got some good, juicy stuff in your bio, by the way. But I'd love for you to just share how you got here doing this work.
Of course. So I lovingly say I'm a reformed 9 to 5er. I spent 15 years in higher education and human resources in my corporate existence. And LinkedIn is where I lived. In higher education, I connected my students to hiring managers through the platform. And then as a recruiter and talent development manager in tech spaces in corporate America, I recruited people. So I brought in and hired people through LinkedIn. And where we met, I told a little bit of my story of my personal brand and how it just kind of happened, and then how I've expanded it ever since. But LinkedIn has always been the platform of choice for me. A little bit because I lived there with my 9 to 5 experience. But because it just did so much for me, not only professionally, I found jobs through there. I find all my clients through LinkedIn, all my connections like this, like the women's event that we spoke at, found her on LinkedIn. We happened to meet that way. And it was just everything I do takes me back to this one platform. I dabble in the rest, but I really go hard on LinkedIn. And it wasn't until the beginning of the pandemic where my business really shifted to be like all LinkedIn all day. I have a background in life coaching. I'm an ordained minister. So I have a lot of experience outside of LinkedIn and personal branding, but it's when I started seeing all these people get laid off left and right.
Yeah,
And if you
sure.
read any of my story, I say I'm a reformed 9 to 5er because I had been laid off 4 times. I cringe saying that.
Sure.
But I mean, an unemployed recruiter sounds like an oxymoron, right? So I had used LinkedIn through every transition, whether it was with my side hustle, finding a new gig, or as an employee, helping my employers grow their brand on the platform. So the one thing that stuck with me through all the ups and downs in my corporate life and now entrepreneurship has been LinkedIn. So I just never looked back. I help entrepreneurs, executives, 9 to 5ers really express who they are and find what it is they're meant to find on this platform.
So exciting. Just love your journey and also the fact that I just want to reiterate, you said, I find all my people from LinkedIn.
Legit. I really do.
And so that should be promising. So if you just ended and you're like, I'm not interested, then what the heck are you thinking? Because you got to listen to the rest because we're going to go into those details. I have selflessly volunteered for Miranda to audit my LinkedIn account live with you guys because I was thinking I don't even understand the language and the reference. Like, I know the Instagram language, I know the Facebook language. What I thought would be really cool is if we did a live audit together and I love how you reframed it in the email too. I see lots of opportunities for growth. So we're gonna actually do that together, but I do have other questions. And then I think what I'm also gonna do, if you're catching us on YouTube, I just want to remind you that we do upload the show live with YouTube, and we now put all the guest interviews. So if you're like, well, I want to see what Miranda looks like, guess what? You can go see what she looks like. She's super cute and blonde, wearing bright pink, and she has super fly glasses. Um, and what I'm also going to do in the show notes is put screenshots of the before and afters, or just at least screenshots of the beginning before I make any suggestions that she might. I don't even know if aesthetic suggestions are what you're going to suggest, but just so you can kind of see the beginnings of my LinkedIn growth journey, the before and afters, because I think I am going to use this episode, by the way, as kind of a measurement and data referencing, so I can start to see the opportunities for using that platform more directly. So thank you
I
for
love it.
being willing to do that. Something
Of
I want to start off with, though, is this statistic, which you kind of corrected me on. I was in a mastermind event, and someone shared this statistic that the average income, annual income for a person that utilizes LinkedIn is roughly 100K.
Mhm.
You said it's more like 75K. Still take that 75K. And the average salary for a user of Instagram is roughly 30,000. And that like blew my mind. Why is that? Can you just like give us more information on why you believe that is?
Isn't it crazy too to think like $30,000? Like, what are they doing wasting their time on Instagram? Go get a better job. You know what I mean? Like, go find some more clients. Like, it's hard for me to even imagine that, and even like to think this is where you want to do business. And I love Insta. That is my second home of choice.
Me
So it's
too.
weird. And I know who I follow. They make way more than 30,000.
Yeah.
However, it's the average, right? Like, and it's also too like, where are they collecting their data? So I try to take this kind of stuff with a grain of salt, but the salt content of the two is so much different, right? Like the 30,000 versus 75 to 100,000. Now I know why you probably heard 100, because there's more and more people getting on LinkedIn every single day. I think it was like every 2 seconds there's 8 new people on LinkedIn, which is like a hilarious statistic. And I love their statistics, but just like their algorithm, it changes every time I change my pants. So I try to be weary of all these like aggressive statistics. However, even if it's 75 or the range is 75 to 100, the average user has more money is kind of what it's saying. To me, that says not that they're willing to give me their money, although that's kind of what happens. It says to me they're in a different space than the people on Instagram. Now, of course, my expertise is in LinkedIn, so I'm going to go real focused on why I think that for LinkedIn. My expertise is in LinkedIn. I think I just said Instagram.
Oh yeah. I don't know what
My
you said, but in my
expertise is
brain
in
you said
LinkedIn.
LinkedIn.
Yeah. So because I know who's on the platform, let's be honest, it's 9 to 5ers, right? A lot, the majority is the adult male 35 to 55, right? That's like what they say the average user are. And now that's something we actually like enter in data. So they can really get that. We're not entering our salaries into LinkedIn, but they're gauging it based on the titles that they're seeing and maybe what Glassdoor says the titles may get that much money, you know? And so that's where they kind of get this makeshift number, but it still piques my interest enough to be like, all right, if I'm going to sell high ticket items, or if I want to be a 6+ figure coach, I'm going to go to where the 6-figure people are, people who can afford me. Now, again, not to say they can't afford you on Instagram. I get clients there too, but I get almost all of like 85 to 90% of my clients from LinkedIn. The difference more so over their salary is the actions they take on the platforms, why they're there, what they're doing when they are there, and what their mindset is for next steps. When I'm on Instagram, I'm scrolling for beautiful pictures, for distractions, right? Like I love people's outfits, their hairstyles, like where are they on vacation? What cocktail are they drinking? Like that's the vibe when I'm on Instagram. Now, again, just me, but also me and all the people I work with. When I'm on LinkedIn, I'm not really looking at your outfit. I don't know if you're on vacation, and I'm not looking to see like your hairstyle. I'm looking for expertise. I'm looking for thought leadership. I'm looking for high level conversations and of course some inspiration, because that's really heavily focused on the platform too, is personal stories and inspirational type stuff. But I'm looking to learn, grow, and connect. Those are a little more focused on business topics than Instagram, where I'm looking to have fun, to be distracted, and just have a good time. I often refer to LinkedIn, Instagram, and Facebook as like events. So Facebook to me is backyard barbecue at my grandma's house, hanging out with the family, having a cheeseburger, right? And then Instagram is a little fashion show or museum in my head. LinkedIn is a networking event. And when I go to networking events, they're handing out their business cards, they're making business connections, making deals, making money. So that's
Yes.
how I feel when I'm on the different platforms. And I approach my training and everything I do when it comes to LinkedIn based on the energy of the platform. And the energy of LinkedIn is action.
Oh my gosh, that's so fantastic. So this winds me down to one of my focuses me down to one of the main questions I have is why should coaches be on LinkedIn then? Because a few things you said for me have been a personal deterrent. Like I'm not really the people, maybe before when I was more in the health and nutrition side, it would have made more sense. But my question for me is, are my coaches that, are newer to business in the first, 3 to 5, less than 3 years typically, are they hanging out on LinkedIn? And so that's what really deterred me. I'm like, I don't really think they are. But then when I began to speak more and I desired to do a lot of corporate speaking, and that's still a desire, then my question became, I wonder if my people really are here. So, how do we know if we should spend time on LinkedIn or not?
So here's the deal specifically for your people, because you just mentioned the years. Think about where your people are before they're ready to get to you. They're probably 9 to 5ers with a side hustle, right? They're coaching on
Mm-hmm.
the side. Not many people I know that are coaches just flat out quit their job and became a coach, or they were born to be a coach, right? I mean, we are all born to be coaches, but they need to get a job. They need to pay their mortgage, right? So a lot of the people I connect with, coaches or otherwise, were a 9 to 5 at some point. So they were on LinkedIn and they're still living in that professional space. So they may also be on Instagram, but on LinkedIn, they're probably not being like aggressively inundated by what you do specifically. A funnier thing is actually, I had a plumber once say to me, why would I be on LinkedIn? I'm a plumber. Like, hello, that's so weird. And I was like, you don't think these 9 to 5ers have toilets? So I called him the unlikely of LinkedIn, and he's very successful. Like he's one of the few plumbers that I know on the platform that share experience about work, and like he doesn't share like dirty pictures or anything.
Love
We talked about
toilets.
the visuals, but there's definitely like a need for us on a platform where there's almost 900 million people. If you just go to the search bar and search coach, you're going to get probably millions of people that are either full-time coaches or side hustle coaches, and they're putting the fact that they're a coach in their experience, because it's
Mhm.
not a resume. You can list everything you've ever done experience wise, and they're adding their side hustles, or they're adding the fact that they're a full-time coach just because they know LinkedIn is kind of like the thing right now and everybody's there. So they want to be a part of it. It's the ones that take advantage of it and really start to embody what it's like to be on a platform full of people who make lots of money. That's when they really start to see success. So
Oh,
you
that's
should
good.
definitely, yeah, you should definitely be on LinkedIn, not just for the corporate stuff, but for the individuals that you want to work with that need your help, maybe transitioning out of 9 to 5, because maybe they don't have a framework because they're just not there yet. They're not thinking full-time entrepreneurship thoughts yet. They may still be stuck in that corporate space, but need someone like you or one of your coaches to really inspire them to get out. And so they start to
Mm.
follow you. And then that's where you start to really build your funnel of people following you, and you're connecting with them and putting out free content, driving them to the lead magnet, of course, which is monetization of your profile, which we'll get to. But that's where they're going to find you first. Then maybe
Okay.
they go to your Insta or your website. But there's a lot of lurkers out there on LinkedIn. Let them be lurking at you.
I know. So that's the question I had. I hosted this event yesterday. I brought like 6 women together and we worked on some visibility stuff all day. So we literally pitched for like 6 hours. And one, she in passing was like, yeah, I could see that this guy had searched me and I could see that he had looked me up 3 times in the last week. And I said, oh, wait, you can see if people are looking for you on LinkedIn? Like, I didn't even know that that's a thing.
Yeah.
So what's the point of that, or how is that valuable for us to understand?
It's literally the only reason I pay for LinkedIn is because I want to see who's looking. And LinkedIn is my jam. I should be probably paying for like the highest, subscription that I can, but I don't. I
I
pay
didn't
for
know
the
you had to
lowest.
pay for LinkedIn either, by the way.
So you don't have to. There's a free
Okay.
version, and you can be very successful with the free version. But there's some features you don't have access to, and
Okay.
one of them is who's looking at your profile. Now, can you
Got it.
imagine if on Instagram we knew everybody who looked at our pages? like think about it in your platform terms. Like if you knew who was looking at you, especially 3 times in a week, you'd be like, that person wants to give me their money. They want to have a
Yeah.
conversation. They either need my services or they're being weird and I can block them. Like why are they looking at me? So when I go to that page of LinkedIn of who's been looking at my profile, I usually wait 24 hours or so and then send anybody I'm not connected to a message and say, hey, thanks so much for stopping by. I hope you found what you were looking for. How can I support you? Is there something you were specifically looking for that we can connect about? And just really start a nice conversation. Usually they're like, oh, hey, I saw your post, or my friend brought you up, at a conference,
Yeah.
blah, blah, blah. So I was just poking around. Great. Let's connect and enjoy each other's content. And it's very harmless. And there's that. Then you're connected, or maybe they're following you too. That's a good part to see if they decided to follow you, which means you're not connected, which is a little different. But if they're following me, that means like not only did they see my profile, but they thought enough to follow me. They thought, I need to kind of, just like Instagram where you follow, but
Sure.
you have to connect with them to see their stuff. So the same kind of actions they're very similar, but the mindset is a little different. My thought, if somebody's following me on Instagram, I don't instantly think they want to buy my service. I think like, oh, that was a fun post or they inspired me. On LinkedIn, if they're following me, there's more of a connection to their transformation. And that's usually
Mm.
where I go in for the conversation. Yeah.
Yeah, I guess my minimal experience too is a lot of just very aggressive cold pitching. It's like I'm on the platform and my DMs are filled up with just that cold. But that also happens on Instagram too. They haven't done any rapport building in the beginning and they just go in right for the kill, if you will. And I mean, I think that's for some people and it's not for us. So that's also just a learning piece. So I love like kind of just thinking about how that funnel might look. Can we
So I
speak
call that
just
coming in hot.
Oh yeah, coming in hot for
I
sure.
call that
Yep.
coming in hot. And I train on that too. It's hilarious. And it's been so bad lately on LinkedIn that a client of mine and I are starting a LinkedIn live show called Sales Gone Wild.
Oh yeah, I remember you talking about it. Please, I need to
Yes,
screenshot you my juicy ones. I don't have so many from
send
LinkedIn.
them.
I'm never on there, but on Instagram, I get them. They're in my hidden requests. I'm clearing out 10 to 20 a day of just random stuff. And sometimes it's like, I'm like, it's really hard not to put people on blast
Yes.
about it and just teach. But I also understand like people don't
Yes.
know what they don't know.
Well, it's funny, about a year ago, I did a training, a free masterclass, if you will, called How You DM is How You Do Everything. So, because I had so many bad DMs coming in at the time, and it wasn't running rampant yet, I just felt like I was getting a bunch of crap. And I said to the person, would you walk up to Starbucks and just kind of like make out with me? Or would you want to like say hello and see what I'm ordering? Like, it was just so weird to me how they were coming in hot. And I taught people the 5 ways not to connect with people. And then I called somebody out. I didn't actually use his name, but I called out the situation. And like a day later, he's like, was that me you were talking about on your
Like,
last post? And
maybe.
I said, not only was that me calling you out and that activity was wrong, I did a whole training inspired by your craziness. And he was like, oh man. So I sent him the training. It was hilarious. So that's what I do now. When I get a really bad sales pitch, I just send him a copy of my DM training. And I say, listen,
That's
I'm not
amazing.
interested. You didn't even ask me. And the worst part too is they think getting personal is like, oh, I want to know all about you and your business. I don't even know you, dude. Why would I tell you all about my business? Do you want my social too? Like, it's so weird
Yeah.
to me.
I agree totally. So permission to
Yeah.
understand you guys that happens and if it doesn't feel congruent for you, let that be a lesson for how you want to interact on the platform for sure.
Yes. Yeah. You're not
Um,
alone.
Yeah, totally. Before we dive into the audit, the last question I have is can you tell us a little bit more about what kind of content should we be putting on LinkedIn? Should I be repurposing my reels on LinkedIn? Should I be putting photos of me with captions? Like tell me more about like what's proper etiquette on LinkedIn.
So here's my thought on all of that stuff. And this is the high level, right? What I tell people is post whatever the spirit moves you to post, right? Like I have a strategy. I create pillars with my clients often. You already have a content pillar, you already have a strategy on a different platform. My thought is you just have to word it a little differently for LinkedIn. You have to use a different hashtag strategy. You can't tag all the people. Like, so there's definitely a few actual strategies you want to use when going from one platform to the next. You can repurpose. I think seeing a reel every once in a while catches people's eye, so it's a little different. But the thing that actually does very well on LinkedIn are photos, like one solid photo, and then maybe like mid form post, not like a huge like textbook, but not minor. So it's not, I've tried the Twitter thing, it wasn't so hot, and I've tried writing like an article, and people have a short attention span. So I found, the kind of in between really works with a photo or doing a video. And the coolest part about videos too is live video is actually on a different algorithm. So you could go live and do very well and then do a stagnant post kind of the same day later on and kind of take some of that traction too, which is kind of cool. And it won't count against you. Like, so typically if you did 2 posts in one day, LinkedIn would split your reach by those 2 posts. So I
Oh.
say one a day, find the best time, when is your audience on the platform, and do what you feel most comfortable with, right? So if you're not a live video person, don't go live. Like, you're just going to feel awkward. It's not going to come across authentic. If you love video, do video, 60 seconds or
Mhm.
less, and just kind of go in there with a hot topic. I definitely love visuals though. And I always promote visuals for my clients. So make sure if it's a video, there's caption. Make sure if it's a photo, it's bright and it's like attention grabbing. I like the 4x5 size because it takes up your whole like phone screen. Because think about it, most people are probably looking from their phone. So if you could take up their whole screen, they're going to stop and watch, or stop and listen, of course, or view your profile and go further on your platform. But really, it's about grabbing their attention. So a couple words aren't going to grab their attention, right? Like threads or Twitter back in the day with the one or two liners that pop. Like, I use emojis, I use bright colors, and I really stick with my expertise. So although inspiration is something I often post about, quite recently LinkedIn just did a little switcheroo on the algorithm, and they want to make sure that we're posting what's in our expertise. So there's a couple tips and tricks we'll talk about when I go through your profile, but
Okay, cool.
yeah, try not to veer too far away from your expertise or it won't get as much traction.
Okay, well, good to know. Okay, well, I think we should dive in and check out my profile and see what you see. So we are trying a share feature. So I'm going to be sharing my screen. So if you actually want to tune into this, I really encourage you to head on over to our YouTube channel, which will be linked in the show notes, and you can check out the actual live review, provided that technology does allow us to do the thing today. It looks, no, I do not have the right thing pulled up. So let me try that again.
And even if you're listening, you'll still be able to get some value from it, but you will get more value from the YouTube. So stay
Yes,
with
and
us.
that's exactly how we talked about it. We said we're going to do all the verbal work possible to
Yeah.
explain what we're looking at. So if you're listening in your car right now, you can always go back later, or if you're a little bit more proficient with the discussion than I am, then this should be of service to you. And we could also finish the recording and there may be no video in here. I don't know how it's actually worked. It might be just Miranda and I seeing it. So if that's the case, don't worry. There'll be show notes that have links. So I promise you there's going to be some sort of visual. I'll even make you a loom if I need to put it in the link. So, all right, you just tell me where you want me to go and we'll go there.
All right, so go to the top of your banner so we don't need to see your search bar or your analytics part. Although I love the analytics being up 100%. So you're doing something right.
Yeah. So I don't know how that works. Like if it might be that this is like a live, like it doesn't allow me to
You can stop there.
access.
That's fine.
Okay,
Like, I can
okay,
see
perfect.
everything you can see.
Okay,
So, all right.
perfect.
So what we're looking at is the top of her LinkedIn profile page. So not her home page, her profile page, where I see her large banner, her initial headshot photo, her name, her headline. Over to the right, it's her company and college. And then, of course, where she's from, a link, and her follower count. So a couple things that really stand out to me. I assume you're in creator mode because your follower count is present, not your contacts or not your actual connection count. So that says to me you're in creator mode. But it makes me confused where your hashtags are. Like a whole huge piece of being in creator mode is putting 5 hashtags that align with the work you do. So that's an
Don't
opportunity.
know any of that. Got no idea what you're
Here's-
talking about. So, so important.
it's so important. If you're in creator mode, take advantage of all the options that it gives you. Um, so we're looking at what I call the top of her profile page. And the question I often ask is, does your top pop? Right? Does it like pop out? Does it answer the questions? Who are you? What do you do? And what do I need to do next? Not only that, is it bright or colorful enough to make me think a certain way? Right? So the first thing I would ask you if we were working together is, how do you want to make the person viewing this feel? Right. So I assume because you've got brand colors already, you've already done the branding thing. It's kind of obvious. So you must already know how you want to make your people feel, right? Probably professional, high end. And I get that feeling. Yeah.
Mhm.
Yeah. So I get that feeling already. So check that box. However, there's 2 different things I want you to look at when it comes to the banner. So we'll start from the top. And the first thing I see is the banner. It's the biggest piece of this. I look not only on the computer, but on your phone as well to check for alignment. And when I look at your phone, when I look at my phone and I look at your actual banner,
I'm
it
literally going to
still
be
fits.
I'm taking notes to this.
You're recording it anyway, aren't you?
Yes, but
when
I want to
I,
go back.
you're so funny. All right. So when I go to my phone and I look up your profile, it fits, which is a good sign, right? So you're technically what happens is your main photo sometimes cuts off the writing. So yours doesn't do that. You either already knew it or you just wanted it to be centered and it worked out in your favor. However, one thing that really catches my eye, and I don't know if this was on purpose or you just wanted it centered, is it's very crunched together, right? So it doesn't hurt my eyes. So we're not going that far to the bad side, but it's very crunched. And I see that you do different fonts and different colors so you don't hurt my eyeballs, but you're not, so that's good. But there's a lot of blank space to the left, if you notice, right?
Mm-hmm.
So
Mm-hmm.
above our photo, and I don't know if you can see where my cursor is pointing, but right above your photo, not only on the computer, but also on the phone, you got a little space. So there may be some opportunities for you to play with your wording so it doesn't look so crunched in the middle unless
Like
it's on
pull it and
purpose.
stretch it over top. Okay,
A
over
little
your.
bit. So you can even put up top. So if you go to my profile, you'll see I actually have like some sparkles, of course, behind the photo because I'm very sparkly.
All
And
the
I
lights
have
and
my
stuff and
name.
glitter.
It's almost like my name in cursive written. Not a big deal. You don't have to put anything specific there. Your name is already under your photo, of course, but if they were only looking at your banner, let's play a game like we're driving down the street and you've got like 10 seconds before the light turns red or before it's red and before it turns green. What do you need this billboard to say in order for them to take action?
Mm-hmm.
So here it does answer the question what you do, right? You teach coaches how to grow their impact, grow their profit, and be the best damn coach they can be. Like, I'm obsessed with all of it. I'm here for it. It doesn't tell me, though, who you are or how I work with you, right? Or what my next step is. So that's why I use a little bit of that space to either put your name again somewhere if you choose to, or to put follow me, let's connect, DM me, some type of baby call to action. Because if they don't scroll down, what are they going to do? Just look at it's beautiful, but it says down at the bottom, open to, oh, that's because so it says follow me is what it's going to say. But we're hoping that they know to follow you. What if they're like, I'm just going to be a lurker or I stumbled upon her. I don't really know her. Moving on. So
Got it.
you
Yep.
want them
Mm-hmm.
for mine, it says, let's connect, make some magic, right? They may be like, I don't need to make magic with her. I'm fine. But it says let's connect. So subconsciously, I gave them a directive, right? So they
Yeah.
may,
Yep.
the odds of
Totally.
them connecting with me are a little higher. So when it comes to the banner, and I won't obsess over it the whole time, the banner is the biggest piece of opportunity. Put in a little call to action, and maybe make it so, because on the phone, it's actually really tiny, right?
Okay.
So Anybody with
Oh,
like that's visually impaired or has a hard time reading it may have a hard time. They may see the clump and be like, "Oh, I can't do that." So
too
just
much.
help them out. Yeah, help them
Yeah.
out a little bit. Your main photo, of course, beautiful, but it's very small, right? So I would have you zoom in so it's more of like a headshot.
Headshot.
Although
Okay.
if you were in fashion, I'd be like, yep, it's very CEO, high level. I totally get why you used it. But we don't have a lot of time to connect with people watching our LinkedIn or checking out the profile. So, in order for me to connect with them, they need to see your eyeballs and your teeth. I know it sounds
Okay.
crazy, but if you see mine, it's very close up. I've got a yellow background with a pink shirt, and I'm very like, hello, in your face, like bright hair, bubbly smile, teeth, eyes, all the things. It's the eyeballs that help us connect to each other. So zoom in and don't just do your eyeballs because that'd be creepy. But
I got you. I already know the photo. I can drop right in there. So perfect.
yay, yay, love it. So, and then of course, there's opportunities for SEO all throughout our profile, but these are two photos you have an opportunity to do a little optimization with. So, that's something that I teach with all the optimization and SEO opportunities throughout your profile. But that's something else that I would probably call out. And I can't see it. We should never be able to see it. But behind the scenes, there's some steps you can take to really make sure you come up higher in the search results. Now,
Cool.
as we scroll, if we go down a little bit, you don't have to scroll, but as our eyeballs scroll down, we see your name and your headline. So the craziest piece, when I was on the phone, because it's the first place I went to look at you, after the word profit and before podcast, there's a huge space. Can you see it here on my phone? Boop, 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 right
I
there.
totally can.
Yeah, what's that all about? So I don't know if you tried to enter it to get it to like another line or something, but there's a bunch of spaces. Maybe you copied and pasted and it was a different line
Yeah.
somewhere
Who knows?
else. But I would
Yep.
fix the formatting, right?
Okay.
But not only would I fix the formatting, I would, because when we comment or somebody like hovers over our name and only sees a little bit, they're only going to catch like a line and a half or less, depending on where they're viewing your name or if it's like a comment or something of what you do. So I try to tell people not to go in first with their titles, go in with the transformation, right?
Ah,
So
okay. Yep.
yeah, so I would maybe reverse a little bit of that or put in, I make you the best damn coach,
Okay.
and then go in with the other stuff, like something that really grabs their attention. For mine, I change it often depending on the season I'm in. So right now I'm in LinkedIn and personal branding season, helping people to shine very brightly. It's like my whole jam. So I put like the sparkliest LinkedIn coach ever. Is it annoying? Sure. But does it attract exactly who I want? Yep. People who don't mind annoying. And people who want LinkedIn. So, what I have people do is really what's the thing that's going to stand out first? And then if they stop reading, they got the most important piece. A couple months ago, back in March, it was International Women's Day. It was, Women's Month. I was featured as a speaker on their website. So I went really hard with I'm an International Women's Day speaker. Right. So it depends on what you're up to. If you're selling your framework stuff and you've got like a mastermind coming up, maybe put that first. So feel free to like change that um, based on what's happening in your world, or just leave it as the main thing first and then kind of tell the rest of the story from there. And that should really help kind of like make it obvious what you can do for them.
Okay.
And then as we scroll down, just a couple little things, of course, like grab my free guide here. What are you guiding them to? What's this
Okay.
guide? What's this guide you speak of? You know
Got
what
it.
I mean?
Be more specific in the title.
You don't have a lot of space, so you do got to get creative. So I say like get some free LinkedIn stuff. You know what I mean? They're like, all right, cool, like it's free, it's LinkedIn, whatever. You're also, like I mentioned earlier, your hashtags aren't there. So I would go back into your edit profile. You could probably, if you scroll down, you would see where it says creator mode on. You click on that, and then it will take you to your hashtags. Find
Oh, yep.
your favorite hashtags, and yep, see that? So if you clicked on creator mode, scroll up a little
Oh,
bit.
yeah. Can you see me clicking on? Oh, you can. Okay. I wasn't sure if it was real time.
Yeah.
Okay. So I'm in creator mode.
So go down a little profile topics. You could add up to 5. Those are your hashtags. So
Got
you
it.
add 5 topics. Don't put a hashtag in front of it. Just put the topic. And so I put like LinkedIn for business, personal branding, self leadership, women, inspiring women, because that's all the stuff I talk about. So when I do
Sure.
posts, I use those hashtags. The algorithm is now going to see, do her topics that she says she talks about real, and they compare it to my posts. So, oh, she talks about personal branding. Oh, this post is about personal branding. It must be good. I'm going to put it out and see who wants to see it. So it's pretty cool. I mean, these computers are so smart.
It's
These
amazing, the
algorithms,
AI.
they're
Yeah,
like little
totally.
geniuses. Yeah. So I make sure that whenever I post something, it's aligned with what I say I'm an expert in or that I talk about. Um, and then a few
Cool.
other tools you have down there. Obviously, you can go live on LinkedIn. You could do audio events. You can have a newsletter, and you've got your follow link, which is the first option for them to follow you versus connecting with you. All right. So if you go back to your profile, if once you add those 5 hashtags, it will actually go right under your headline, which is cool. So it gives people another opportunity at top to see how you roll, which is
Right.
kind of what we want. We want them to know, up top, not only does it pop, but am I so clear on what I do? This person is like, yep, I need her. Right. So, you make them take action. And then the button right under it is get my free stuff and then follow.
Cool.
So 2
Amazing.
little baby call to actions. Now, of course, there's other things throughout your profile, but the top is the biggest one. I don't know if you noticed next to your amandawalker.com, you got a sad gray square there.
Yeah. I don't know what that's about. This is
So
very
that
sad.
that is because you don't have a company page. So that's where your logo
Um,
should be. So I highly suggest to every person, even if you are a solopreneur and you don't have a big old team, you don't even say my company LLC is my name. So I totally get it when you're like, it's just me. I'm going to use my profile, not a company page. Still create a company page, put a logo, put a little banner, put your tagline, send them somewhere, right? Put your website in or something. And then that way your logo will pop up right next to your company and it won't be a sad gray square anymore.
oh my gosh. It's so like all of that is blowing my mind. You guys listening, like she just walked you through how to, even if you don't know how to navigate connections or conversations yet, which is like I honestly think we could probably record a second follow up to this that's all about the connections. I'm going to go ahead and come off share though so we can come back together. I think that like just to not put words into your mouth, but even if you're not sure how to navigate the content on the page consistently, if you can create a profile, because I was just looking, I'm like 105 people follow me. Like I don't even interact. I mean, how is that happening? Right. And there was nobody before I at least created a space holder, basically, like probably 6 months or a year ago. And I had no followers. I don't know if those are the right people. However,
Right.
it's probably connections upon connections in that
Yeah.
6 degrees of Kevin Bacon or whatever it is. Um, However, the idea being like just go create that space. And then I think the content and the connections, I'm assuming, will come.
So here's my thoughts on those 105. They're probably the people that heard us speak, right? So
Oh,
they
true.
probably went to our LinkedIn because think of like these conferences we speak at. They may go to Instagram, but they're also going to LinkedIn because they hear that LinkedIn is the place to be. And there's always FOMO. So when I ask people, why are you on the platform? And they're like, I don't know. I was told I should be, right? That's literally the first answer. And so I have to help them come up with a real answer. But because all these people feel they should be, you should have your stuff looking great. So when they pop by, they know what to do. Even if you never use LinkedIn for lead gen or connection, having that profile as a space holder, it's like a landing page. Like I used it before I could afford a website. My company page, my personal profile acted as my website. I drove them to my email list. I told them to DM me. We had conversations. And for years, I didn't have a website. I barely use my website. It's just there because I feel like I should have one.
Yeah, totally.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I mean, even if you the websites too in this day and age are kind of unnecessary, especially if you have like lead pages or
Yeah.
ClickFunnels, or and you're really using some of those systems in lieu of a website. So that gone are the days. I mean, I don't really even think there was ever a day it was like a lot of our coaches come in and they think, well, I'm only legit when I have the website. And I'm like, I personally was like 50K, making 50K a year before I was like, well, maybe I should build a website. And I did all myself on YouTube because the cash flow wasn't there to pay somebody to build a website for me for 3 grand at the moment. So This has been so valuable. I think the thing that I would want to leave with, and I want you to share, I know you run LinkedIn Growth Academy, right? Is that your main program? I want you to tell us a little bit about that. But um, the one take home that I want them to leave with is, what is the most impactful way to make connections on
Mm,
LinkedIn? So if they were going to take one action to begin, aside from actual the physical, the
right.
aesthetic piece, to make sure there's a home base, like how do I really make connections with the people that I'm serving?
So the first thing I tell people to do is nurture who's already following you, right? So that's something we hear often too, but we often forget about because we always want more. It's human nature to want more, the next person, the next sale, who hasn't worked with me yet. But what about those who are already following you? So for you, there's 100 people. That's not a lot of people. You could easily once a day say hello to 5 of them or go to their profile, see if they're posting, and comment and engage on their content. So engaging is actually more important than connecting to new people and having them follow you, because that's really where the connection starts, is supporting other people's ideas. So instead of a content strategy, I often preach about a comment strategy. And so commenting on somebody else's feed is so important, not only because you're showing them like you support them, but the law of reciprocity will kick in. They'll then support you. And when they comment on your stuff, their connections see your stuff. So that's second level connections that you're not connected to, Kevin Bacon and all, who will now see you and be like, oh, who's this Amanda Walker? I'm a coach. I need to follow her. And so then you'll get new followers just by supporting the people who already follow you. And then say, a couple weeks go by and you've already engaged and supported the 105 people. Obviously, you're going to get more as you go, but the algorithm's going to show you their stuff more often. So then you go to your homepage. And so once you go to your current connections, go to your homepage, filter your homepage either by recent, like who's on LinkedIn right now posting, and connect and engage with them, or go to top. And these are the ones in your network that's getting the most attention. So I spend probably like 5 or 10 minutes on both filters. Then I nurture my current network. And then I have a little baby list of people that I really want to like connect with. I'll go to their profile. I see what they're talking about. I engage with them. It's usually where I start. I mean, there's a whole, I can keep going, but
I'm
I would
sure you
say,
can, but that's what you teach inside, I'm
yes,
assuming, your
yeah,
academy. So could you
yeah.
share a little bit about who that's for, what that looks like? So I'm sure everybody listening is like, sign me up. I want to know more.
Absolutely. So LinkedIn Growth Academy, I actually started over the pandemic because I was getting inundated with one-on-one coaching and I couldn't handle it. I got kids. I was too busy. I was like, all right, you all got to come to one party and I'll teach you all at once. And so I ended up starting Growth Academy, and I take about 20 people at a time. It's essentially, I have a list. Once I get to 20, I say, okay, friends, here's the date. Here's the time, a couple $100. It's not even that expensive. It's a couple hours, and I take them all through the profile, kind of like what we did. Q and
Yeah,
A.
just go ahead and put me on that next list.
Yeah, seriously. So I go through the whole profile, what to do, what to put there. And then the second half of it is about utilizing the platform based on your goals, how to achieve your goals, and how to really connect. I talk about my 3 C's to growth. I've got 3 P's for visualization. I love letters. And we really just answer each other's questions, support each other, and act essentially first as a networking event, because I also host LinkedIn Local, which is a connection event, getting to know the people behind the profiles. So we network for a little bit, get to know each other, so then we can support each other on LinkedIn from that moment forward, learn how to use the platform. And we don't act as pods because I'm not a fan of pods. However, now that you've got like 19 new friends, you're going to support each other on the platform. And if you end up doing business together, great. If you end up just meeting each other or getting on each other's podcasts, or I often get 9 to 5ers in there too, who are like, I just want a personal brand, a present on the
Sure.
platform in order to get found and seen and recruited and promoted. So anybody who knows they need to be on LinkedIn but doesn't know what to do should probably be a part of this party.
Amazing. And we'll put the direct link inside the show notes, both so you can go check out Miranda's LinkedIn
Mhm.
profile. We're definitely going to link that up so you can see hers. And then also to learn more about the next cohort when she starts, we
Yeah.
will drop her link to her website there so you guys can learn more about the program too. So this has
Yay.
been so info, tangible, tips packed, which is my favorite way to record. So that all of you listening, I hope that you have found so much value in the application piece of this is maybe carve out like 30 minutes in the next week to just go through and listen to this episode again and go ahead and create like take some of the action that I think she references when you hear her discuss my profile. I think you're going to see some opportunities for your profile as well. And then most definitely if you have any questions for her, please shoot them her way on
Yes.
LinkedIn or Instagram since
Yeah.
she hangs out there too.
I do hang out on Instagram there too. I'm Miranda.von Fricken. And, on LinkedIn, I'm Miranda Von Fricken. So you'll find me. It's nobody else has this name.
Excellent. And then I'm sure there's other free resources and such that lead them to, checklists or something like that. I didn't ask you that, but if there's anything, feel free to share.
Perfect.
Do you have a do you have
Oh, yeah.
anything you want to shout
So
out?
if you just DM me, I'll send you all the stuff. So I've got
Perfect.
a workbook you can go through. I've got a checklist, and there's so many different things. I usually wait to chat with someone to find out what their needs are first, because sometimes they're like, my profile is great. I don't know what to do now. So they need a different checklist.
Okay. Perfect. That makes
Yay.
sense. Well, I adore you. It's your energy is so fantastic, and I'm just grateful that you took the time to share all the nuggets today. So thank you for joining us.
Thank you so much.